Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Experience Maker Show, episode number 27. This is Dan Gingiss, customer experience speaker and coach, and I'm so glad that you've joined me once again Thursdays at 4 p.m., where I get to talk to some smart person out there in the world who has made it their goal to become the experience maker at their organization or who teaches others to do the same. And couldn't be happier or more excited today to bring you a guy that, if you've been following me for a while, we've been alleged to have a bromance going on because we do lots of stuff together. But my good friend, customer experience speaker, consultant, best-selling author, and my podcast co-host, Mr. Joey Coleman. How are you, buddy?
Hey, Dan. Super thrilled to be here. Super thrilled for everybody checking in for the live show, watching this on the replay. Honored to just have a presence on social media today, thanks to my good friend, Dan Gingiss. A little hurt that I got my invitation to be number 27, but nonetheless, I now know where I fall in your appreciation rankings.
Well, since we're always honest with each other, brother, I think you actually just took a while to respond to the
There's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of truth to that by the time we can make schedules align. So I'm just playing with you. No, super excited to be here. Such a huge fan of yours, Dan, and the show and what you're doing with Experience Maker. Thrilled to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for everybody that is watching and listening. Strub is already in the house with hashtag
bromance. I think Strub might have been the first ones to call this the CX bromance. So thanks, Strub. You're a rock.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Scotty Werner is in the house saying, let's do this. And he says, hello, Joey.
Hey, Scotty. How you doing?
A past guest on the show. Thank you for joining us. And for those other of you that are watching, feel free to comment on either LinkedIn or Periscope or Facebook. We're going on all three today.
All of the channels. Are we on the Twitters?
We are on the Twitters. Yes, that's Periscope. For those not in the know.
Classic. See, Dan, I would say it'd be interesting to have a conversation. What is the aspect of our relationship Dan is most embarrassed about? I think it could be that he's most embarrassed about my complete lack of actual Twitter knowledge. So it's a running joke and banter for us because I just need to have a friend who understands Twitter, and I have Dan.
That's a good point, and I'm happy to play that role for you. So again, I can't imagine that anybody that follows me or is watching this doesn't know you, but I want to give you an opportunity to just introduce yourself and tell people what you've been up to recently.
Oh, you're kind, Dan. Let's see, what to share? At the end of the day, I spend all day, every day, teaching companies how to keep their customers and how to keep their employees. And I do that with a methodology that I built called the first 100 days, which is all about focusing on the first 100 days of the relationship and all the research that shows and supports the fact that if you get the first 100 days right, you can have a customer for life. You can have an employee who's engaged and committed. And it really is just an incredible opportunity for me to get to share things that I've learned, things I've worked on with my clients, best practices that I've come across in the research to help companies make more personal and emotional connections. Because I think at the end of the day, it's what we all want. So it's just super excited to be at that place in the career path right now, because it's been a super eclectic career, as you know, and enjoying where we're at and enjoying the chance to reconnect professionally with you. I feel like we should tell the story of how we met. I think it's a good story.
We should. I just want to follow up on one thing that you just said, because that first 100 days is super important, because the result of Joey's first 100-day methodology is that you never lose a customer again.
Exactly. That's the idea, right? Thanks for the promo spot and plug of the book. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, the research is actually really fascinating because the typical business loses somewhere between 20 and 70% of their new customers in the first 100 days, depending on their industry. And yet the research also shows that if on day 101, you love the business you're working with, you feel amazing about the experience you've had thus far, the typical customer will stay for 5 years. So there's no time that is more dispositive of the lifetime value of the customer relationship than what happens in those first 100 days.
I totally can relate to that, obviously. And I saw that I want to tell you a story. I don't even know if you know this one. When I was at Discover, which I know you knew I was there, one of the first things that I realized when I got there that was really surprising to me, I was looking at some VOC, voice of the customer, and I kept seeing a word that I never expected about a credit card company, and the word was love. And people said, I love my Discover card. I love my credit card. I'm like, who the heck loves a credit card? Like, I get if you love Disney or Starbucks or something like that, but a credit card. And I started realizing that it really was how the company treated its customers, including right at the beginning. And I remember one of my favorite campaigns that we did was when people were on the books for 90 days. And, forgive us for only doing the 90, but
that's okay. It's close.
Well, it's because of the cycle of the credit card statement, right? So, so 3 statements. We would send them a $5 Starbucks gift card in the mail, and it came attached to a card. And the card just said, "Thanks for being a Discover customer." There was no ask. We weren't trying to sell them on anything. And what was unbelievable, now I had them add a hashtag to it, but what was unbelievable was without saying anything or asking people, not only did they share the picture of the gift card across all the socials, but then they went to Starbucks, got the drink, and started sharing the drinks that they were getting and tagging tagging Discover, thanking them. And so it's just this small gesture of recognizing, hey, you've been with us for 3 months. We really appreciate you. And I think the companies that do that right. Oh, and by the way, I should tell you, bearing the lead, Discover has the longest tenured customers in the industry. People don't know that, but the longest tenured. Yeah. And so it absolutely works. It works out in practice, not just in Joey's book.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that story so much, Dan, because I think it gets to a key point that anybody who's a regular watcher of The Experience Maker probably already knows, yet it bears repeating. And that is, when is the last time you received a communication from a company, any company, that was about you, not them? Right? So when you say thank you to someone and you give them a gift, or even you just say thank you, it's about them, not you. So often we cloak it in, oh, and by the way, here's a 20% off coupon for a future purchase. Okay, great. You just took that thing that was about them and made it all about you again. Or we say, hey, we've got this new offering and this new offering and this new offering. Or, hey, are you using this tool? We cloak things that we pretend are about the customer in things that are actually about us. And I'm sorry, our customers are smarter than that. They see through those hijinks. Stop doing that. Just have a pure, genuine outreach that is about them, and it will move the dial in ways you can't even begin to imagine. Because I would posit that humans in 2020, throughout history, but especially in 2020, are dying to believe they matter. And when, as an organization, we say you matter, as an organization, we say thank you for your business, as an organization, we say we appreciate you, that jumps up in the spectrum of interactions and communications they've had to really stand out. And isn't that what we're all trying to do? Surprise and delight moments, stand out in the crowd, be remarkable. All those tropes that are trotted around in the customer experience world, they're actually not that difficult to create when you focus on personal and emotional connection with the actual customer.
I like to use the term simple, practical, and inexpensive. And communication is one of the simplest, most practical, and least expensive ways that you can improve the customer experience. And as Joey says, it's just as simple as recognizing someone, appreciating someone. You and I remember on one of our last episodes of Experience This in season 5, we talked about birthdays and how there are so many companies and organizations that know our birthday and so few that choose to recognize it. And why is that? It's so easy.
Well, I think there's a couple reasons for it. I think the reality is they set that up in a form, or they gather that information for a business purpose that is independent of connecting with you. It's an identifier. It's to make sure if they have 2 John Smiths, they know which John Smith they're talking to. They're required to from a regulations point of view. It's an identifier from an identity theft moniker point of view, something like that, as opposed to how can we use this information to create connection. But here's the interesting thing about birthdays, and I say this respectfully. When we're little kids, birthdays are exciting. I have a 4-year-old. I have a 7-year-old. My 4-year-old, his birthday is in November. almost every day he says, how much further to my birthday, right? Like he's super excited about his birthday and he's always excited about what is to come. And that doesn't go away as we get older. We may have different feelings about getting older and different feelings about our birthday, but it's still this key milestone in our life. As you get older, the celebration of your birthday, at least in my personal experience, is less. You're not having a big party with a bunch of friends coming over who are bringing you gifts. You're not getting a dozen cards with money or thoughtful notes written in them. You're at best getting rando emails that feel like they're completely auto-generated from businesses that you do business with. Or you might get a card from mom and dad where, ironically enough, dad's signature looks a lot like mom's because it's the same handwriting because she signed both names. You know, just the number of people that note this milestone decreases dramatically as we get older. So it's such an easy way for businesses to stand out. Send that thoughtful little message and make it a pure message, not a happy birthday, here's 20% off your future offer. Instead, happy birthday to you. We appreciate another year of your life has been spent in relationship with us. And we're so thankful for that. That's it.
Yeah, it really is. It really is that simple. Now, Joey, for our listeners, will you remind us when is your birthday?
Yeah, exactly. My birthday is in March.
What's the date?
It's March 4th, which I will tell people is the only command in the calendar. You are to March 4th, right? So
that's good to remember.
I remember it.
Well, I have a birthday that no one ever remembers. It's Christmas Day, December 25th. So anyone that wants to send those cards with money in them, hit us up afterwards. We'll give you our address, March 4th or December 25th. Plenty of shopping days left. So
I like it.
We'd love that. Also, anybody watching that wants to ask Joey a question, please leave it in the comments. Joey, the questions are already coming in. So
let's go. And any question is fair game. Ask them all. And are we doing this rapid fire so that we can get as many in as possible?
Well, it depends on the question, because you know what? You wanted to tell a story before, and our good friend Chris Strub is going to tee that right up for you. He says, for the one listener who might be living under a rock, what's the backstory with Experience This? And by the way, Experience This is the podcast that Joey and I do together. We'll be starting our 6th season right after Labor Day, September 8th. We've got 102 episodes. So if you want to binge, we got content.
A lot of bingeable content. So quick story. I have my roommate that I'm roommates with in college. We have a great experience. Guy by the name of Joe Dietzick, fantastic human being. We graduate college. I go to law school and he goes to business school. And he goes to business school in Chicago. And couple, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months into business school or that, I said, Joe, I want to come visit you at school. So I come to Chicago to meet with Joe. And I walk into his apartment and I see my college roommate and we have hugs and it's great to see each other and reconnect. And he says, hey, by the way, I'd like to introduce you to this other guy I've met here who's gotten to be a good friend, Dan Gingiss. So irony of all ironies, Dan Gingiss and I met, if my memory is correct, back in like 95, 96-ish.
Yeah, no, 2000. 2000. Because we graduated in 2002. So.
It was later. So I was still in law school. It was later in law school when I came, when I met you guys. So facts never have gotten in the way of a good story for me. So, but Dan keeps me honest. That's fine. So anyway, we connect. We become friends on social media, but Dan's there and I'm not doing anything. We don't have a lot of interactions between. And then I get asked to, irony of all ironies, give a speech at Social Media Marketing World. Okay.
There are many ironies there, Joey.
There's so many ironies for anybody that follows me on social, which you probably don't because there's not much to follow. I get asked to give this speech at Social Media Marketing World, and Dan reaches out and he's like, hey, it's been ages since we connected. You're going to be at Social Media Marketing World. I'm going to be at Social Media Marketing World. Let's meet up. We meet up via a connection with our good mutual friend, Jay Bear, who while we're at a happy hour that he's throwing, he suggests, you two know each other. You seem to have fun cadence and banter. You should start a podcast about customer experience. And if you're interested, I can help you guys produce that and get that figured out. And so long story short, after many years, the bromance was rekindled and reignited. And suddenly we were off to the races. Now I feel compelled to share, Dan just put my Twitter handle up on there. Do not You can tweet and tag
bombard him, people. Bombard him with tweets.
Yeah, you can bombard me. Just know that I don't respond. I'm sorry. I know I should, but I let go of that a long time ago. So yeah, tag me if you want to, but don't feel bad if you don't hear back from me. But occasionally Dan makes me go into Twitter and I heart things, which supposedly you get messages about and then you like it. So I will heart messages where you tag me from time to time, but not regularly and not every day. And sorry for that.
That is outstanding. And for those who are living under a rock, I'm going to put this up as well. You can check out the Experience This Show at www.experiencethisshow.com or your favorite podcast app. We got iTunes, we got Stitcher, we got
Tesla.
If
you're driving a Tesla, you can live with Stitcher.
Yes, all of them. Anyone that you listen to, we've got. Spotify. Yeah, I mean, you can't beat it. So check us out. And again, if you need some time to catch up on 102 episodes, we'll be here for you when you're ready for episode 103 on September 8th. Okay, we have another question for you from Scotty Werner. I'm going to put that up for you. It says, Joey, from your experiences, why don't more companies empower their customer service professionals to make decisions that will help the client?
Ooh, this is a good one, Scotty. So there are layers to this answer, but let me give you a couple different buckets of why I think it happens. Number one, in most organizations, the customer service team is the lowest paid team in the organization. And so they don't have a lot of power structurally within the organization. Number two, the customer service, customer experience team usually reports up to the head of marketing, who then reports to the CEO. So what often happens is customer experience and customer service is kind of raising red flags and saying, hey, we need to focus on this, to the marketing person, who then goes to the meeting with the CEO. And do you think they're going to talk about marketing or customer service and customer experience? Oh, by the way, their title is head of marketing. They're going to talk about marketing. Number three, I think there's a reality that most humans, by our biological nature, are inclined to chase rather than catch and keep. What I mean by that is we are more excited about acquisition than retention. Retention usually falls into the category of customer service, customer experience. So as a result, biologically, we are less predisposed to do this. Last reason, I think, is because often CEOs come up through marketing and sales as opposed to operations, which means they are more excited about acquisition than retention and care, and they're predisposed to that. I think all these things combine together to create a scenario where customer service isn't held as in high regard within organizations as it could or should be. And as a result, folks aren't empowered as much. I think the secret to that, or how do we get around this problem, is for the people who are embedded within organizations doing customer experience and customer service, which I know is a lot of listeners of the Experience Maker Show and viewers of the Experience Maker Show. I think their opportunity here is to start to think strategically about the other people in the organization as being your customers and deliver unto them the same type of remarkable experiences that you want to deliver to your customers, to get them bought in at a personal level of the power of what these connections can produce. Because when they start to experience it, as opposed to just hear about it or see the data on it, it gives them a personal connection that I think will lead to more empowering of your team to be able to do those things.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how often I meet people that don't really know what a good customer experience looks like, because unfortunately, as consumers, we don't get very many of them, at least not that are memorable enough that we want to tell people about. And so oftentimes you have to show your employees what it looks like so that they can demonstrate it then to customers. It's also why I like to suggest to people that you become a customer of your own company, because it is almost impossible to truly feel what the customer feels unless you're going through it yourself. So when I got to Discover, for example, the first thing I did was apply for a card. I didn't apply for an employee card because that got me VIP treatment in customer service. I didn't want that. I wanted to be treated like a normal customer. And I went through the process of applying for the card. And when you do that, you can notice the steps of the journey a lot easier because you're going through them yourself. And I often said this about marketing too, Joey, and I don't mean to lessen what it is we do in customer experience, but it isn't brain surgery. A lot of times it is just common sense based on how we like to be treated or the experiences that we like to have when we're customers. So I was once accused, I think actually accused is the wrong word, I was complimented, but I've been told that I often wear the customer hat in business meetings and I try to represent the customer. And that comes naturally to me because I am a customer. I'm a customer of tons of brands. I'm a customer of many B2B companies. I work with lots of people, and I know it makes me feel good when somebody that I work with recognizes me or does something nice. And so I try to do that as well. Why do you think it's so hard for people to put themselves in that spot, either literally or figuratively?
Well, I think there's a couple of reasons. I mean, I think many people have the challenge of checking their heart and their mind at the door when they get to work and thinking like, oh, now I'm in business mode. I have business mode and personal mode. And you and I have talked about many times, this whole fiction of B2B or B2C, I'm over it. Like, it's H to H. It's human to human. Enough already. Like, I get that there are nuances about selling to a business and selling to a consumer that are slightly different. But at the end of the day, if we boil down to the core, it's about one human being interacting with another human being and trying to convince, persuade, influence them to take a certain course of action. So I think there's a reality there. I think a number of people also defer to thinking they know it without trying to understand it. What I mean by that is, and I'm going to go off on a tangent, but bear with me. We'll bring it back.
Okay.
I'm a recovering attorney, as people know me, right? So one of the cases I studied in law school is a 1964 Supreme Court case about obscenity and specifically about pornography. So hang in there, folks. It's about to get interesting.
It's a family show, Joey.
It's a family show, but not that interesting. And there's a famous line in what Justice Potter Stewart said about this that often gets misquoted. But he basically says, I'm not going to try to define obscenity and pornography, but I know it when I see it. And the same thing holds true, I think, to customer experience. I think people know it when they see it. They know a good customer experience when they see it, but they don't want to take the time to define what happened to make that. They put it into the box of feeling and say, well, I feel better, so that was a positive customer experience. And the problem is when you go to the CFO or the CEO or anybody else in the organization and you talk feelings, you bump into the bottom line. In the last 5 years, maybe 10 years, folks in the customer experience, customer service space have gotten a lot more conscious about tracking ROI of customer experience and talking about the bottom line impact. And the data is there, right? It's absolutely there. But I think we need to be willing to have both sides of the conversation and then extrapolate systematically what can we do to deliver customer experiences consistently in order to be able to receive those results.
I think that's a great point. And one thing I would add would be that sometimes the response is, oh, well, I like what this company did, made me feel good, so I'm going to do the exact same thing. And the problem is that your business is different. You have different customers, you have different products and services, and it may or may not work for you. And I think no better example of this exists than, and you and I talked about this in, don't call me Rain Man, but I happen to remember the COVID episode was episode 94.
He's Rain Man. Ladies and gentlemen, we've done over 100 episodes of the Experience This show. If you were to say, well, what was one where we talked about this? Dan knows the episode. If you ask me what the last episode, what we talked about, I have no memory. But that's also the reason why I say that we met in like 95 or 96. And Dan's like, no, it was actually 5 years later, 2000. It's the give and take of our relationship.
The COVID episode, which was a special episode that we did, was a little hard to forget. That was episode 94. And we talked about how so many companies responded immediately to COVID with the exact same email. And we all got them. It was just like a couple of years ago when we all got the privacy emails and they all said the same thing. And to me, that is so lazy. Because here's an opportunity that you have to communicate with your customers at a time where if you can't show empathy right now, I have to tell you, I don't think empathy is going to be possible with you because you know exactly what your customers are going through right now because you're going through it. And you can't take the time to create an email that's just a little bit better than we've enhanced our cleaning, and your safety is really important to us, and here's the CDC website. Like,
yeah,
come on.
Come on.
That's
Folks, we can do better. We need to do better. We should do better.
Exactly. Thank you, Dennis. I knew you were going to like that one. Thank you for jumping in there. He's also got the smiley face. Joey, we have only a couple minutes left because this is the fastest half an hour on the entire internet. What's going on next with you personally? And also, not that anybody can predict anything right now, but what do you see happening with business and with COVID in the next 6 to 12 months? Do you think we're still going to be talking about this a year from now?
I think we're absolutely still going to be talking about this a year from now. I think unless there are major changes at a global level, we're still going to be dealing with this a year from now. Knowing that you have,
the Russians won't have solved it yet.
Yeah, I know you have viewers all over the world, but speaking from an Amerocentric point of view, if I may, for a moment, we need to think differently about this in the United States than we've been thinking about it. There's just too much running in opposite directions as far as how do we handle it. And I think if you're too far on either side of this problem, you've got an issue. Like the majority of Americans, politically, socially, religiously, environmentally, etc., are more in the middle than are at the edges. We just, the ones at the edges, have the microphone. So I think we need to be conscious of that. Where do I think it's going? I think we're going to see a reversion back to the things we always knew, which is the people who take care of their customers during a pandemic have customers after a pandemic. The people who take care of their employees during a pandemic have employees after a pandemic. I think we're going to get back to basics. I think people are, I think most of humanity was looking for a reset button. If you really had the opportunity to talk to the average human, they felt that they were overworked, underappreciated, running around like crazy, didn't know whether they were coming or going, struggling to meet ends meet financially, spiritually, socially, fill in the blanks. And I think, like most things in life, we get an opportunity to choose. And how we choose to handle the time we're in right now and how it influences who we are going forward is a big opportunity that I hope people don't miss, which segues me to where am I going right now? Lots of interesting things. I'm looking at every aspect of my business and saying, is this really the way I want to do it? Do I want to do it differently? I'm looking at the work I'm doing and saying, is this what I want to do? Do I want to do it differently? I'm not planning to wholesale necessarily jettison everything I've done in the past, but as you know, Dan, I've had a very eclectic career. I've done a lot of different things, and I have a lot more things that I want to do. I'm working on my next book, which is all about employee experience. I've already started thinking about the one after that, and the one after that, and the one after that. So I know for a fact writing is going to become a much bigger part of my life than it has been up till now. And so those are some of the things that I'm excited about and working on and thinking about. If I had to boil it down to one word or one concept, it is intentionality. I think there's a huge opportunity for all of us on the planet to be exponentially more intentional than we were. And I think good things come from intentionality, regardless of what those intentions are.
That is awesome. Great way to finish. Be sure to check out Joey's current book, Never Lose a Customer Again, at finer bookstores near you and or online. And check us out on the Experience This Show, which releases again. Season 6 will start on September 8th. Every Tuesday, we drop a new episode for 4 months straight. So we'll give you lots of great news stories to listen to, especially in this COVID age. Joey, my friend, you're a gentleman and a scholar. Thank you so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. Always great to see you.
Dan, you are too kind. And thanks to everybody who watched Experience Maker live, who's watching it on the playback. Give my buddy Dan some support. Share it to support him. Share it to get the word out about him. Tag me or don't tag me when you do share it.
It won't matter.
See it anyway, but tag Dan. He'll see it and he'll appreciate it. Love you, brother. Love all of you for listening. Thanks so much, and keep creating great experiences.
All right. Thank you, Joey. And thank you for joining us. Next week, I'm going to have another buddy of mine on the show and another guy who is not particularly active in social media, so you may not have heard of him, which I think will be great. His name is San Banerjee. I worked with him at Humana. He is the vice president of digital experience at Texas Health in the healthcare industry, which of course has all sorts of experience problems. So it should be really, really interesting to talk with him, and very excited to have him on the program. Thank you so much for joining. I'm Dan Gingiss, customer experience speaker and coach. I'll see you next week, next Thursday, and every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern on the Experience Maker Live.